The mountain pine beetle is an insect that attacks pine trees and has killed about 50% of the commercial lodgepole pine population in British Columbia. There was a huge outbreak in the province, which has since propelled the migration of the population into Alberta, and in particular, into the Fort McMurray region. So why is the pine beetle such a big deal? Well, they attack and kill trees by laying eggs underneath the bark, and they also carry a fungus that causes dehydration and inhibits a tree's natural defense against beetle attacks. And when their eggs hatch, the larvae mine underneath the bark and eventually cut off the tree's supply of nutrients. And obviously, dead trees provide dry material to fuel wildfires. In Alberta, it's estimated that the mountain pine beetle will kill 40 to 70% of the pine tree population in the Grand Prairie to Slave Lake regions. And the pine beetle isn't the only insect causing issues. Saperda are wood-boring insects that affect the poplar population. It's estimated that 30% of this population will die as a result of a Saperda infestation, further adding dry fuel for wildfires. And you'd think with such outbreaks of these tree-killing insects and the threat they pose for wildfires would be of great concern. We were even warned about catastrophic wildfires in the Treetop Complex report in 2012, a report issued to the then progressive Conservative government after a wildfire destroyed 1/3 of the town of Slave Lake. But of course, the PCs and also the NDP completely disregarded the recommendations. As we know, the NDP cut the wildfire budget. But here's what else they cut: the budget to keep the pine beetle population under control. NDP MLA Eric Rosendahl confirmed that $2 million was taken from that project, while Joe Ceci maintains that he wasn't aware. Unsurprisingly, the NDP are responsible for significant cuts to the wildfire budget to the tune of $15 million, even though they were fully aware that it was an issue, especially since they partially blamed overspending by $300 million on wildfires last year for not being able to balance the budget. And now we know that they have cut the pine beetle budget despite the threat that the insects pose. Nobody is blaming the NDP for lighting the match here, but these were calculated cuts that show just how important wildfire season was to this government. And even though they were warned of catastrophic wildfires, and even though they had already experienced a much more elevated wildfire season last year, and even though the government also said that fires would be fought regardless of budgeting, we now know that the wildfires that devastated a town and caused tens of thousands of people to flee their homes simply weren't a priority for the NDP. For the Rebel.media, I'm Holly Nicholas.
Thanks for watching. Click here to never miss a Rebel update. Want even more of the Rebel? Well, click here to become a premium member.